Hi,
Hey, how's it going?
how do you do? Sorry for the delay over that.
No, no worries. No worries. What's happening?
All is good. All is good in the hood. It's
Shem.
yeah, we're like we've got a million cases here. It's like every other person, every other day.
Yeah, that's the whole world. That's the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
world right
No, it's
now.
just like it is what it is. It's not crazy, but it's not the end of the world. I'm saying it just happens to be. There's just a lot of quarantining and so on and so forth. So
That's and then there's the shaila of like how much to shut things down and keep things open and
yeah, complicated. It's good that rabbis aren't in charge of these things, huh?
right, right. It's a good thing that that there's real leadership in the world that makes these decisions so
Yeah,
that Rabbanim
yeah,
don't have
exactly.
to. One day. That's
Yeah. Oh boy.
yeah.
Well, we're,
All right.
we're we're doing our thing. So, anyways, let's. So I'm sorry for the delay. Let's jump straight into it. So we have a little bit of time here, and we now have a new section, a completely new thing to be thinking about.
Yeah, we've got Rav Kook has a short perush on Hareini Mezamen SP,
That's
um,
fantastic.
which is pretty cool because not all Siddurim have this Hareini Mezamen SP. I was actually just looking up a couple minutes ago. Hareini Mezamen shows up in the Rif. The Rif,
Really, hey?
the Rif in Masachas Brachas includes Hareini Mezamen SP.
Look at that. That's
Um,
before Chasidus.
Yes, yes. I would imagine that the addendum l'shem yichukudsha brichu shchinte is more of a Hasidish edition.
Edition, right?
But Hareini Mezamen is Pila Halal Halal Shabbat Chazbari that shows up, and in the current Siddur, that's all that they put in. The l'shem yichukudsha brichu shchinte dehil tamim v'nal m'shem kodesh that shows up I think a little bit later. This is also somewhat different from the other nuschos that we have of like before doing mitzvahs. This Hareini Mezamen is P, as opposed to what's more common today, Hineni Muchan Mezuman.
Yes.
Like probably became the most popular as a result of Sfiras HaOmer.
Yes.
Right? Hineni
You got his
Muchan
own song.
Mezuman. Right. Not every Hineni Muchan has a nigun associated with it. That one does. But Hareini Mezamen is old. That's fairly old. And Nusach Hari, Nusach Sfarad and Edut Mizrach don't have it before Psukei de Zimra, before Baruch Shamar. They have it before Hodu, because
Yes, that's where
where
the Zimra starts.
Zimra. So this is the meaning. If David HaMelech has an introduction called Mizvah Shulchan Kasabayis, so Hareini Mezamen, at least I don't know if the Rif composed it, but it seems to be pretty old. So B'chaved, Rabbi Trump.
Yeah, okay, let's do this. So here we go. So the words that we're focusing on are Hareini Mezamen SP. I'm making my mouth ready for this. He says, Hapeh hu kli hadibur. The mouth is the tool of speech. Oisar hachaim haruchaniyim, which is the storehouse of spiritual life. Sheboy kol habituyim shebekoyach hagnuzim hem betoichen klali. So that any we'll call latent potential ideas, concepts are found in their we'll call complete contents are found there. So therefore, the speech has two parts to it. Number one, dibur kodesh, dibur chol, holy speech and mundane speech. Dibur kodesh, moitzai hu mimakor hadei ha'elyada. When you speak holy speech, it comes from a place, a location of lofty ideas, of lofty thought. So Yotzeres kol hayitzurim, which is forms all of the you call creations. Badatoi to nivku. Through his knowledge, the depths were split. By dibur shel chol mekor hu lemata. The mundane speech comes from below. Ma'yitzurim haboim umisrashmim benafshoy shel adam mikol ma sheyesh biyitzira. So to speak, it's informed by ideas which already created. It's not above creation, it's within creation. We're talking about the concepts that already exist. Tzarech ha'adam b'yosa nigash le'achel diburoi b'kodesh b'tfilas kelekel b'tfilah lekelcha. This person is about to engage in holy speech as he engages in the living Lord. Yaz lahazmin yaspiv lahazmana haruya likdusha kedei shifas hadibur tavo me'yasod hamukudash. That we are supposed to be doing it in a way that we're pivoting from mundane speech into the realm of lofty speech. Koicha, that its potential is laf'ol, or its power is lif'ol al kol ha'havaya, which can affect all of creation, all of the being, kasher yetzira kula ba mitoicha fa'asa, because it's coming from a place which is beyond and above creation itself. Hareini Mezamen SP. So amazing. So we're like sort of transitioning from irrelevant, not irrelevant necessarily, but meaningless, mundane speech which comes from the realm of what is to the realm of what is above, essentially, which is a remarkable thing. If you, today, I just find it's interesting. I think that today people speak a whole lot more than they ever used to speak. People are encouraged to basically, verbal diarrhea, just like, talk about anything they possibly can. It's amazing. Like, if you've ever been when you're like at a show, everybody's commenting the whole time, like to each other, to their friends, they're commenting in their posts. It's an amazing thing. And they do the same in shul because it's the same methodology. But what's amazing about it is that we feel we can only process by talking, and we just talk about people, and we talk about politics, and we talk about things all day long. We just talk and talk and talk, and it's just like sort of peddling the same stuff, which is irrelevant most of the time. And like, how often do we talk about ideas? How often do we talk about concepts, celestial, cerebral ideas? It's such a transition, such a thing that your speech can actually matter. What I'm saying? Like, what do people want today? What's like the apex of a success? Is my little my pithy tweet what became viral, so like my 140 characters become something which people think is relevant forever. I mean, until the next tweet 3 minutes later. But like the point is that like, we have this desire to connect our speech to something meaningful. It's like, that's what we're doing. Let's connect to something which matters. Let's talk about something which isn't just inconsequential in opinion within the vacuum of nebulous this worldly ideas. So it's just a very profound perspective.
Right. I was having this conversation with somebody a little while ago that I it strikes me as fascinating how readily we have an audience today. Meaning you can find an audience at any moment of day or night.
Right. The more extreme you are, the more easy it is to find that audience.
Right. And throughout most of human history, like, if you were working in a field or, selling wares on a road, you were a merchant, or if you were at home, being a housewife or running a shop or business, like, most of the time when you had a thought, you didn't express it outwards.
It just stayed, yes.
Like that's where the thought stayed. And if anything, if there was something troubling you, something that was bothering you, I think that this to a certain extent, I mean, Rav Kook, I suppose Rav Kook would have a lot more to say if he lived in like our age of like overloaded technology. But I have a funny feeling that throughout like most of humanity's history, when people had something that bothered them and they had that like deep, overwhelming need to express it, that was called tefillah. Like, something's bothering me, so I don't have an audience, but I have a Ribbon Shalom, so let me talk to him. And I've wondered already for a long time if like that need to express, I think, has always been there. It's just, where do we express it to?
That's so interesting. So we almost like we choose this cathartic channel of just posting our random emotions as they appear to us, without any consequence besides for people giving us some sort of likes, and that would have been something where we would have actually used that as an opportunity to connect to
right. Meaning when the only one there to connect to is the Ribbon Shalom, well, then if you feel the need to connect, then that's where you connect to.
That's so interesting. So interesting. It's kind of like it's sort of the easy way out. It doesn't require work. It doesn't require relationship. It just requires posting. Even posting, it's not like you're even directing it to any individual. It's just sort of putting it out there so that you can garner, as you said, like audience, which is, and it doesn't heal the problem.
Right.
It doesn't make anything better when people like you or comment.
I have a sneaky suspicion that people talk in shul because they don't daven outside of shul. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, Lu Yitzur, people, like, the whole day, whenever something was coming up, like, you turn to Ribbon Shalom, help me out with this.
Oh, good old Tevye,
Right. Like, you walk into shul, and they're like, now I have a couple of moments to like have that conversation that I've been meaning to have all day with all these things that are on my mind. But if the only
That's a
person
very profound perspective.
if the only person that you're ever going to speak to is going to be like your neighbor, your friend, the interwebs, right? Right? Like it's just like blah, onto social media. So then, how do you speak like Livnei Hashem yishpoich sicha, right? Like spilling out your guts to Hashem. People don't spill out their guts to Hashem. It's like it's not something that we're good at. It's something that like we don't have those conversations with the Rebbeinu Shalom like
Yeah.
on any regular intervals.
It's so true. It's so true. You know, I don't know. I guess I had this like sort of sad moment where, you know, when I'm davening, I'm usually davening and I'm just trying to just stay afloat, you know, at the speed of light, you know, and I'm just like, you know, so I don't really have much time to look up as much, you know. One time I was just like, I looked up, you know, and I was in the middle of Birkas Kriya Shema. And it was such a sad revelation when I realized there's a significant amount of people just staring into space. They weren't
Right.
they weren't even enunciating the letters. It's
Right.
almost as if it doesn't really matter. And it was such a disappointing moment because I guess even at times where it's harder for me to daven, I still will say the words.
Right.
It means I was still saying the words. And to me, there was like sort of losing this notion that we have the capacity to talk about ideas which come from above this world. That's pretty amazing, man. That's pretty unbelievable. You have the opportunity of talking about something which is consequential, not something which is going to just be wiped away in 2 seconds.
Right.
No, to me that was, you know, and the fact that people don't realize that is incredibly painful, incredibly sad.
Yeah, I think we're just not practiced at it. Like that's just not a thing that we do. Like I would even like I understand people have like very busy lives and a 35-minute chakras is all that anybody can like handle with all the mishigasim of, but like later we would come to shul with that being a part of like the overall relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom.
Mm-hmm.
And like you get to shul and rush through a chakras, but like you know who you're rushing through a chakras to. Like you're gonna talk to him in the car on the way there and on the way back, right? And just you know schmoozing with the Rebbeinu Shalom throughout the day.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of Breslov machshava here. It's
I think this struck me a while ago. Is I think all that Reb Nachman did was like named what people used to be doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He wasn't creating a phenomenon. He was.
I don't think he was creating it. I think the deep human need to be expressive that we today fill with an audience in all ways and shapes and manners and forms. And there's a good reason that none of this is documented throughout history. It's not like, you know, people had like, I was walking through the forest and I had a conversation with God. Like that was normal. I truly believe that was a normal thing that people did. It's not going to be in history books. It was just part of the day. People did this as part of their day-to-day existence. They lived with it. They breathed it. They smelt it. It was part of like the makeup of everything. Like people were reaching out to the Rebbeinu Shalom. I have a thought on my mind. I need to express it in order for it to germinate in my mind. I need to be able to say words to, like thoughts that are just in my mind don't go far and you lose them. So you want to say them.
It's a beautiful idea. I mean, what you're suggesting, which I think is a very profound thought, that means to say that the antidote to the issues in shul is not to be found in shul.
I don't think it is.
No, so we need to be working on that relationship outside of shul. It's just like it's hard for, you know, a person who's like, you know, very successful, you know, whatever it is that they are in life and they're professional, you know, and they've worked themselves up and they're very rational people, to say to them, you know, like to speak to the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's like kind of, it's a very vulnerable, you know, experience to sort of start speaking to Almighty.
Right.
That's the hurdle.
Although the same thing. Imagine you take a couple that have been like going through like marital strife for like months and months and months, and then like you say to the husband, you know, when you come home, you should have a conversation with your wife. So like he walks through the door and he's like, okay, what do you want to have a conversation about? Like, how do you start those conversations? Meaning, if you don't have a relationship, so then you can't start the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick up the conversation. What are you even picking up? There has to be a relationship before there can be a conversation. So, like, if your whole relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam is only in the couple of minutes that you're in shul, then being in shul is super awkward. But if the relationship is like an all-day relationship, an all-life relationship, and then you walk into shul and you open up a siddur, you're like, I'm going to rush through these words, but I know the basic gist of what I'm saying to you, and you know the basic gist of what I'm saying to you, and we've been doing this for years, and I understand what I'm doing, and you understand what I'm doing, and I wish that I could spend more time on this, but I don't, so I'm going to rush out. So I think that's, like, then davening is part of that relationship, as opposed to like check the box. I'm yotze.
Right. It's true. There's an indictment on the modern Orthodox world that everybody likes to have davened more than to daven.
Right. But I don't think it's modern orthodoxy. I think it's the world that we live in, like bichlal. I don't think that Haredim and Hasidim and Reform and Conservative are doing much better in this. I don't think that it's there's different trappings in every denomination, right and left and up and down and however you want to say. But I don't think that this is like the yesod of this is a kasha of modern orthodoxy. I think it's a kasha in relationships. Like what Rav Kook is speaking about here, that most of the time is spent b'diburei shel chol. So that's mamish b'diburei shel chol. That people are not talking any divrei kodesh all day, are just not talking to Hashem. So you walk into shul, Hareini Mezamen is pi, lahodas, la'al, shabach hispari. Now I'm going to pivot my mouth to speak to the Ribono Shel Olam. But if you don't do this all day, so then how do you come to shul to do it? I'm saying maybe you could say that in the morning, shachris, we don't have this by mincha. By mincha, it's expected that you've been talking to Hashem all day. Like, there's no Hareini Mezamen by mincha. What do you mean Hareini Mezamen? If you've been Mezamen pi by mincha, then what have you been doing all day? Like, most of the time, most people spoke to Hashem. That was just the expression. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I'm saying Tevye was a frum Jew. Like he had tons of issues, sure, but like that notion that like I'm frustrated with something, like I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm gonna turn to Hashem. It's missing.
Excellent.
Chaser mashu. That's yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting.
Incredible. No, I think this is going to be an unbelievable new passage. To be honest,
yeah,
this is going to be a new passage. We have actually a comment. Isaac is just asked about how to do this in America. It's a big shout. It's a big shout out. Reintroducing HaKadosh Baruch Hu into our lives again.
I forget America. It just as a year today. Nachman speaks about this extensively. He gives advice about this extensively. It's like, if you don't know where to start with that. Say, Ribono Shel Olam, I miss you. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do here. Help me out. Start with that.
Yeah. Rabbi Goldfein said a very profound thing. He said, why is that people rush out of davening to go to do things where the only answer to the success of those things was the thing you're rushing out of? If you think about it, it's sort of like, the Ribono Shel Olam is the one who's going to make those endeavors successful, and I'm running to get to that endeavor, whatever that is, the gym, the work, the train, whatever it is. It's just a funny thing, we kind of forget why we're doing what we're doing in the end of the day.
Right.
But by the way, just to those out there who are watching, just one thing which I found tremendously transformative in this regard was reading Jewish Meditation by Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan.
Right.
When he talks about this concept of visualization, his spottedness, all the types of ideas, he really sort of frames it in an excellent way, and he gives a very good, I would say, practical framework for Rabbi Nachman's Torah as well.
Right.
Not only, but as well. It's a really very beautiful perspective.
That's something we've been talking about probably already for a decade, Rabbi Trump.
It's a transformative experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but this is the kind of thing that like I feel like it comes up over and over and over again. And whenever it does, people like throw their hands up and like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, Nachon. I think the problem is that we're trying to win on the battlefield, which is like, it's in the middle of shul and people are talking and people aren't in this and it's frustrating. And what are we going to do about this? And that's not where it's going to be won. That's not where the change is going to happen.
Right. It's not a shul problem.
No.
It's not a shul problem. Like no amount of discipline in shul, meaning no amount of decorum and respect is going to make people have a better relationship with Hashem.
Yeah, listen, I think this topic is something which we need to explore a little more, because I think people are really thirsting on this topic. I'm thirsting on it. I think that a lot of people are. We need to really work on this.
Yeah. Okay.
Rabbi, a pleasure. This is so good. Ashrecha, what a beautiful, beautiful idea.
Ashrecha v'tov lach. My dear friend, we'll speak to you later.
Wonderful day.
Have a great day.